So today we're going to be talking about what it's like to be coming on as a staff of Oakland Rising, and also talk about some of the issues going on here in Oakland and how that is impacting the way our organization is looking to move in this landscape. And not only move, but hopefully activate you, our supporters, the folks who care about the town, who want to see this town stay as beautiful and as amazing as it is, and get better with the same neighbors in it, not just having new neighbors. So we have two new staff members who have joined us here at Oakland Rising. Jess, who is coming on as our lead organizer. And then we also have Ricky, who's joining us as our communications director. I'm super excited to introduce you to them. And excited to have you both on. Why don't let's take a turn in having you introduce yourselves and tell people who you are and why you joined Oakland Rising. Who want to start?
I can start. Hey, my name's Jess. I see Brandy and Morgan. Shout out to y'all. Thanks for joining. You guys are real ones. And yeah, I joined Oakland Rising because I'm interested in building political power in Oakland. I formally organized or done youth organizing with Coleman Advocates, and did policy work and civic engagement through education justice campaigns through there. So yeah, I was just interested in getting back into the field. And since I live on this side of the Bay now, the East Bay, yeah, I thought that it'd be nice to get politically involved and, yeah, really civically engaged on that level with Oakland and the East Bay and Alameda County. Yeah. But yeah, that's also where my heart is. Love organizing and civic engagement. So yeah, I think that's where the real push for power is.
That's what's up.
Nice.
So much. Go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, I came to Oakland Rising because I found out, just looking around and finding that this is one of the organizations that's right on the ground, really trying to make sure that, power is given back to the people. I've done some nonprofit work earlier in my career, and then ended up at a national super PAC. And through the whole election cycle, through 2020, we thought that, hey, we're making a difference, and yeah, okay, we got the right person in office, but it didn't really change anything locally. So it left me with kind of a bitter taste in my mouth. So I moved to another organization called Hip Hop for Change. Shout out to them, and did a lot of things locally and around like reentry and hip hop education for kids and empowerment of youth through hip hop pedagogy. And so after I finished there, I was taking a break, and I really was considering going back because, I wanted to make some more money. But then when I really thought about it, it's like, what good's the money if you don't sleep good at night? So it happened by circumstance. I happened to get connected with someone at Oakland Rising, and here I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
It worked out.
So much gratitude to you both for jumping on. Tell people a little bit more about your role, Jess, and like what it means coming on as one of our lead organizers.
Yeah. So my role is as a lead organizer. I'm actually under Bay Rising, so I'm in a fellowship right now, just gaining knowledge, gaining skills to build on top of the organizing knowledge that I already have. So shout out to Bay Rising for this program. But I'll be working on a county level with Oakland Rising to really push people power, change the narrative around the county level, and yeah, like change the way that voters are really taking their power back. Because I think that when you're in a bigger county, it can be confusing a lot of the times on, what to vote for, what's out here. And so yeah, we'll just be really doing some political education. We'll be bringing y'all on into some campaigns that we have going around the budget, because as you know, our budget is taking a huge hit as of all of California as well. And so we really just want to highlight that and make it very transparent to the voters and to the people, what our budget is really being used for, what it looks like to bring in the people to the budget table and get it working for us, and not other people.
Oh, we're gonna come back to that. Yes, one of the things happening in our lovely state of California is budget cuts, right? Our state has gone through some amazing ups. Y'all remember a couple years ago during the pandemic, we had this massive budget surplus, and it was like, it's 60 billion, then it was 70 billion, then it was like $98 billion in surplus. And a surplus is simply a way of the state have more revenue coming into the budget than they had budget and expenses, right? Which meant we had a little bit of a savings cushion a couple years ago. But unfortunately, given the economy, given the way corporations are raising the price of many things, but not paying their fair share, this year we are in a budget deficit. A budget deficit is when our expenses and our revenue absolutely don't match up. We have more expenses than we did raising revenue. And so, as Oakland Rise, we've been paying attention to the fact that corporations, especially the biggest corporations in our state, don't pay their fair share in taxes. Those of you who know, we've worked for many years to really push the idea of tax equity, that those who make millions and billions of dollars in profits should be paying their fair share in taxes, because taxes is how we fund the things that we care about, right? The public safety network of health coverage, the benefits that folks need when they're going through different transitions in life, our public infrastructure for buses, for roads. I don't know about y'all, but we still got lots of potholes in Oakland and out throughout Alameda County. But also the mental health services, the schools, the childcare, all of these things that we use as public services are funded by taxes, right? And all of us pay taxes. We pay taxes when we buy certain items. We call that a sales tax. There's also income tax. I know many of y'all filed your taxes to get your refund. And the reason we get those refunds is because we've determined as a state that those who make the least should not pay the most in taxes, right? And that corporations who may pay the most should be paying that. But there's a lot of disagreement. We'll dive into it around whether all corporations pay their fair share, right? Because clearly, if they're making billions in profits while our state is suffering from a lack of tax revenue, there's something wrong in our picture. There's just something wrong, right? So appreciate you. Shout out to you, Jess, for coming on and being willing to take on the amazing and necessary organizing at the county. It's very hard for us all to monitor all the electeds that we have in our Alameda County. But I think that this is work that will be really critical, because we don't all know what board of supervisors do. We don't really know the county, right? And I think sometimes we go to the city thinking that we're doing the right advocacy with the right folks. But actually, some of the things we're talking to the city about are things that our county has more power and authority to make changes around, right? So we'll just want to give you your props, as well as say it's a big job, and we're glad to have you on. And folks will be hearing from you in future Monday Meals about what's going on at the county.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Really excited to learn more myself and also educate others. So looking forward to more Monday Meals.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
then,
a pastor for Ricky.
so, we on Monday Meals, but you the new comps person.
Yeah, man.
Your job and what you'll be doing here at Oakland Rising.
Well, hopefully, if I'm doing my job right, I'll be elevating what we do here at Oakland Rising, as well as Oakland Rising Action. and at Bay Rising with folks like Jess. And what we're trying to do is tell that story for us as an organization, and also tell people, how they can be involved and how much, and expose to them how much power they actually have in local politics and how much power they have in determining what's going on in their areas around them. I live in Deep East Oakland, and I guarantee you in my area, there's so many people there that have no idea even what the DA really does, what the Board of Supervisors really does. So me as a comms person, I'm part of my job is to elevate that and let people know what they should know about our local government, as well as telling the story of people in Oakland, right? Good, making sure that people that don't have necessarily the voice that we have, make sure that they're right front and center, so that our electeds have to take some kind of accountability around the decisions they make, so we can tell the story of actual Oaklanders, especially Flatlanders.
That's right. Yeah.
uh,
Thank you, Ricky.
Here for that.
I'm excited about that, and want to come back because there's a lot of stories, right? And I think that when we talk about what's going on in Oakland, there's a whole lot going on right now. I think that I want to be really clear that we have a lot of amazing local media that's doing a really hard job to kind of share and uplift stories from real Oaklanders, folks who are in the flatlands, who live and breathe in the community, who deal with the issues, not just talk about them, not just theorize on them, right? Who are really working with their neighbors to create safety, really working with their neighbors to really create the things that our communities need to be able to thrive, right? And I think it's unfortunate that there's this really negative narrative about Oakland. It's not safe. I always look at people who are outside of Oakland and they're like, oh my gosh, everybody gets robbed in Oakland every day. And it's so horrible. I would be in Oakland. And I'm just like, that's just not what's
No,
happening, right?
no,
Right. That's not the reality.
it's not perfect, you know what I mean? But, I have a 10-year-old son, and we go wherever we want in Oakland, no problem, day or night. On my block, I barely see broken glass, and I'm in deep East Oakland. I'm not in the hills. I'm in the, I can't say it here, but I'm in the middle of it.
The hills, I'm just going to be
Yeah,
honest.
I understand. but I'm right there. I'm right there in the middle of it, and Oakland's a beautiful place. It's full of beautiful people, and there are certain channels who shall not be named right now that are painting a narrative that it's the Wild West out here, and you can't leave your car anywhere, you can't walk anywhere, and that's just not it. I've been here since '97, and I've felt safer here than I have in just about anywhere in the world. And I'm on my second passport. I've been around a little bit. And there's no place like the town. Like I said, it's not perfect.
I think for a lot of people,
it's
it's easier to frame the narrative that Oakland is dangerous instead of framing it that people have needs that are not being met. And so they have to extort the different things that we see and that are happening. And that's very real. And that comes with understanding the landscape and the power map of everything and what the budget can really do for us,
Right.
Nope.
Right. And I appreciate you naming that link between what the budget for, right? Because often the narrative is support anything in Oakland. But the reality is we do spend our tax dollars here in Oakland in a kind of way, right? And I think that part of what I want to see make sure happens is that we begin to really link. Okay, we care about potholes, funding the repair of our streets, right? We care about a lot of folks have talked to us about youth services and making sure our young folks have a safe place to go to kind of prevent the opportunity for violence to happen. How are we investing in that? A lot of people talk about the need to have an interruption. Who does that work, right? It's not like the solutions are not existing. The question is how we're funding them, right? And how we're ensuring that as we're funding those solutions and supporting those organizations that are part of our community to do them, that we amplify that good work, not the negative components of it, right? So I think that's my overall critique of what's going on in the town. The town is taking care of the town, right? We all have taken care of each other. We have a number of organizations who are out here trying to address illegal dumping. It's a big issue, right? Everywhere you go, you see some level of illegal dumping happening. And enforcement is able to take care of clean it up as well, right? And so I think that that's a number of issues. We also have an eviction crisis. We don't hear enough about that. There was this, amazing, opportunity at our county and in our city to keep people safe, keep people housed, and that didn't happen, right? The eviction moratorium was eliminated here in Oakland. It was also eliminated at the county level, and there was nothing put in place to support tenants to be able to survive, to be able to mitigate the harm that the shelter-in-place orders had on the town. It's almost as if people have deja vu that like a whole pandemic happened, that East Oakland had some of the highest rates of COVID, the highest rates of folks who lost their jobs, the highest rates of individuals who were not able to have a safety net provided to them to be able to stay housed, to be able to ensure that they were taken care of when their family members were passed away from COVID, as well as a number of other issues that were going on in our community. And it pains me that we talk about the violence that erupted temporarily, because there's also amazing new articles coming out. Actually, the violence is going down. We're gonna talk about that too. But we don't talk about the fact that when we need that, whether we like it or not, are using the best means that they know how to take care of it. Not to justify violence, is to call to question what are the causes of violence, and the root causes of violence that we all know that that's backed by all of our experience is that people's needs are not met, right? And we have to hold our county, to hold our city accountable to what happens when we take care of each other, right? It means we make sure that folks have the ability to pay their rent, right? We make sure that people have access to affordable housing. We make sure people have access to healthcare. We make sure people have access to programs that give them an alternative, so that they don't choose violence, right? So that they don't choose to take things to the context of the street, right? And I think right now, we're not having that conversation as a city. We're having a conversation around what to do with those who take the wrong choice. May not be something we all support, but it is a choice that can cause harm in our community, versus what are we doing to set people up to make the choice that causes the most community members to thrive in Oakland, right? And to have that vision of the town that we care about. So, that's big, right? If we're not talking about the right thing, we're not to the right solution either.
Right.
So yeah, I can ramble and talk about this. What else is going on from y'all perspective, besides the narrative around crime and everybody's opinion on it or not? What are some other things that are happening?
Well, I think right now, one of the things when we talk about the budget, we talk about some of the major holes that we have, and one of the things is, and as a small business owner, the business tax that's not being collected is contributing to this huge deficit we have in it. And as far as I know, there's a big chunk of that that's just coming from landlords, right? Landlords are holding everybody, I don't want to say hostage, but they're putting everybody in a position where you have to pay or you have to go. And then on top of that, you're not going to pay back into the system.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects, as you said, that affects all of us. That's money that could go into youth services, that could go into other alternatives to incarceration, that could go into just fixing potholes. And we need to fix potholes. I've blown like 3 tires in the last 6 months on my, and I'm over it.
Over it.
You know what I mean? Over it. Like to the point where certain areas are mapped out, and I'm like, oh, I got to get all the way over in the left lane and come all the way back to the right, because landlords aren't paying their fair share, corporations are not paying their fair share, and those are major pools of money that we need for the budget, right? And then you have other folks that are just trying to sneak by on it. And I'm not saying nobody likes taxes. Nobody likes giving that having that money taken, but everybody likes being able to drive down the road without losing the axle. So we have to address that at least a little bit.
That part.
Wow.
As well as the recalls that are happening, right? With the DA recall, people are framing a lot of the crime narratives on the responsibility of the DA, and I think we need to reframe what the DA actually does. And in addition to what it looks like to have a special election, right? Like to spend that much money and have so little turnout. We need to consolidate them so that we can educate voters and then also save the county money. Because if we're talking about we're in a deficit, why are we trying to spend money on an election that we do not have the money for? I think that's also a big issue that's going on right now as well. And if you guys are interested in turning out and seeing what that's about and what it looks like to be a part of the process to consolidate the elections, there is going to be a Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow, and you can join us at 1 p.m. Yeah, we'll have the information, I think, on our page. We also have a toolkit coming out so people know what to say and how to fight for the consolidated election.
That's right. So, yeah. So there's a $54 million and growth deficit at the county. At the same time, there's all these different efforts underway to recall DA Pam Price. And, Oakland is really about the most equitable democracy that we can. We know that recalls cost a lot of money. The register of voters is estimated that standalone election, special election, would cost between $15 to $20 million to execute. On the principle of the budget deficit and to make sure that we protect the public safety network, right? That we all, care for, right? Making sure our health hospitals are solid, access to protections, that our renters have supports that they need for their rights, that our communities are getting access to behavioral and mental health, child care, right? All of those things are out of our county budget. And so it's a really big question for us around if the Board of Supervisors is really going to proceed with this special recall election at the same time that they're trying to close the budget deficit before growing, right? That's almost, more than a third of what they need, right? Growing it another third makes sense, right? So I think that's just to give folks some more context. So we really believe that general elections are elections generate the most voter participation. We've seen this. I mean, Berkeley just had a special election with 1,000 voters participating. Cost almost somewhere between, let's say, 3 to 4, maybe $4.5 billion elections that just happened, that have been all over the county. And elections are cheap, right? They're often 3 times the cost of it. So we just have to ask ourselves, like, when we're paying for these special elections, they cost 3 regular general elections. What are we really saying, right? Mm-hmm. And then I want to say, and we just, but congratulations to Alameda County, because on this particular issue, the voters just voted in the March primary, and they said, we actually agree with you. The consolidated elections make sense. They passed Measure B, which was a charter amendment that placed the recall procedures that are in our Alameda County charter with actual default to the state law, which say if a recall is in default state law, which is the general election. So, want to give folks some props because we all see where this use of recall elections going, really waged against progressive candidates and being by mostly conservative groups who may not really understand the cost benefits of what it takes to really protect the public. And we really fundamentally believe that knowing the DA is important, right? Knowing what the DA is responsible to do is important. But last time we checked, the DA did not go out and arrest people. The last time we checked, that is not the role of the DA, right? Some of the progressive policies for which Rising supports, the DA doing, like reentry, get out of jail, have spaces, have access to services so that they are thriving in healthy ways and becoming contributors to. We care about that. We believe in formerly incarcerated having access to those services because we believe in rehabilitation. We believe that our young folks need sentencing and services because we believe it's possible to rehabilitate young folks. But we also believe that this is not about that. We do not believe in locking folks up and throwing them, right? That's just not what Oakland Rising believes. We believe rehabilitate folks, that people make missteps in their lives, that they need second chances so that they can become productive and amazing citizens and residents in Alameda and Oakland. And we not only believe that, but we have witnessed as members of our daily team who are formerly incarcerated have become members of our staff. We've seen amazing organizations, formerly incarcerated individuals, advance the most policy for our folks, pushing for investments in our education system, pushing for investments in our healthcare system, right? So all that stuff matters, right? It all matters. And I think we're really excited to support that work. Ricky, you had mentioned that we really want to make sure people know about the Board of Supervisors. You talked about narrative change. What folks expect to hear from Oakland Rising on the narrative front?
Well, on the narrative front, one thing we're going to do is we're going to be distributing our Know Your DA zine that was created, and what that'll do is that will point out to all of you exactly what the DA does. As you mentioned, the DA doesn't go out and arrest people. The DA prosecutes people, and there was just recently a report showing that the DA was still prosecuting at the same level, but what's going on is the cases aren't coming in at the same rate as they were previously, which lets you know who's doing a job and who's not doing a job. Now, that's not to say that we in any way support incarceration. We support alternatives to that. But at some point, there needs to be some kind of violence intervention. And someone out there has to be out there actually doing what they're doing. If you look at the numbers that we're spending on the police, I mean, that number rises every day, and as part of that overall budget deficit. And so I guess the short way to put it is somebody's getting paid, but somebody's probably not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's just what I'm seeing, right? But what we're doing is we're trying to surface, what's really going on at that level, and one of the ways that we're going to surface that is with that zine. So you'll get a nice, colorful story that'll point out exactly what the DA's responsibilities are, and make it clear, and make it easier for people to make a decision. Because when you look at the possible recall of Pamela Price, you'll see that that's being backed by real estate developers and other large corporations for their own gain, not for your gain. Oakland, it's not for you. It is not for you. It's for them. And when you look at how much money is being put into that campaign to recall DA Price, you can see, like, when was the last time a bunch of real estate developers put a bunch of money into something so it could just benefit the community and not their pockets? I'll let you think on that. Additionally, we'll be putting out stories of people from Oakland so that, again, you can see who was being affected by these decisions. And hopefully you'll see in those people your neighbors, you'll see, and it can touch some of your humanity, and it help you understand why it's so important for us to get involved in this. Because one of the things that they're trying to push is that people in Oakland have just have no sense almost, right? They're just out there wild, and that's not what it is. Again, to circle back on something you said earlier, this is all around need. Everybody wants a roof over their head. Everybody wants clothes on their back, food in their refrigerator. And when you don't have that, it's going to drive people to do things that are, morally questionable. But when you look at why they're doing it, you see a pattern of people that are out there not giving the opportunities, not given the ability to support themselves, and it drives them to do other things. So we're hoping to put out some things that are going to combat that narrative, as well as continue to inform everybody on the things that are going on. And I personally I take it very personally as far as this narrative about Oakland. I've been here a long time. I've been supported by a lot of different organizations, a lot of different people, and I've seen the good work that we do out here. So if we have to be the ones that have to tell that side of the story, so be it. I have no issue with that. That's part of the reason why I'm here at Oakland Rising, is because I think it's super important to surface that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think that we know that the folks who are watching, we know that you support all that we're saying. Money, the police. We've been very about. Know that we believe system of rehabilitating our community. We know that we believe in addressing the root causes of violence. Our role is to support the Oakland community, particularly in the flatlands, flex people power, and people power is necessary more than ever. We're in a battle for the town, right? Battle for the town, and I think that's just I've been in Oakland for 21 years. I've raised all three of my children here in Oakland. I've never before charged so clear that we are in a battle for the town, and this battle for the town is really a battle about whether the people of Oakland are going to fight to protect the values, the culture, the right to live and exist in Oakland, and how we want Oakland as our tax dollars to take care of our city, advance this amazing vision that we have, where we do voice to our leaders. We have the right to voice how we want our resources and to hold individuals accountable as well as with them, right? Work with the vision of Oakland, right? There's a lot that can be said. Obviously, everything that's going on right now in this one Monday mill. But we are back with Monday, right? We will be coming in every Monday, with the exception of the day, because that's a holiday. Respecting all of it. And some vitamin D is necessary for our winter. So don't never leave. I don't know what she feels like leave, but we. My point is that our we are trying to close this that we believe you as progressives, as also make sure that you all know about the work of other community organizations, ones that are part of our collaboration community. There also have make sure and last but not least, there's board meetings, there's city council meetings. We have a workshop on how to make public comment possible with the reinvestment. Shout out to JRC So many ways for you to get involved, to take action. If you haven't been at a board meeting, if you haven't been to a city council meeting, if you've never been to Malcolm X Town Tuesday or a workshop, this is a to find all those. Um, Looking forward to bringing guests in the future to tell you even more of the progressive movement. We are not where we are to flex people power to make sure you as residents, as folks who care about the town. Any last words from you,
Yeah, just reminding folks we cannot talk about problems without thinking critically about the actual solutions to those problems and the root causes of those problems. So just remember that and take that with you.
Yeah, just know that no matter where you are, you're not by yourself. You know, you're part of a larger collective. And Oakland is as the town we move. All right, the same way everybody started popping off with that new Kendrick joint, we do that with everything. And when we do, there's nothing they can do to keep us from making sure that we're taken care of and make sure that we get what we need, make sure that our neighbors are good, make sure our folks are good.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. More? Okay. So our website, www.oaklandrising.org. Our G, which is already on just in case, is Oakland.rising. Thank you so much for joining us for Monday Meals. Next Monday Meals, we're going to go a little deeper and talk about the issues in the city budget, what happened in the county, and prepare. We are less than 180 days away from the general election, and we're going to need everybody to turn out, and we're going to talk about why. Last thing but not least, don't forget, July 18th, we have our Oakland Progressive Party. It's time to identify who is the Townie of the Year. And I don't know, we might have some announcements coming up on future Monday Meals about who all of our townies will be. So stay safe. Hope you all there dressed in your best, making it a town affair. Other than that, make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you eat every day. We stay strong as a people by taking care of ourselves. That's why we do Monday Meals, so we can all get caught up on the tea as well as eat. So see you all soon. Bye.